The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed during this or any broadcast belong solely to our guests or our hosts. These broadcasts do not represent or reflect the views of their employers, sponsors, or affiliated organizations.
Welcome to the Flipboard EDU podcast with your host, William Jeffrey, where we collaborate, communicate, and educate with the greatest educators in the world on Flipboard. Let's start the show.
Teacher burnout is a real and growing problem in K-12 education. Years of budget cuts and mounting pressure to improve test scores have taken their toll on teachers, leading to increased levels of stress and feeling burned out. According to a recent study by the National Education Association, nearly 60% of K-12 teachers are experiencing symptoms of burnout, including fatigue, cynicism, and a loss of enthusiasm for teaching. A good friend of the show, Jim Thompson, former National Distinguished Principal and New York State Elementary Principal of the Year for the National Association of Elementary School Principals, says we need to stop, drop, and roll. Much like the fire safety technique that students learn, educators in the post-COVID-19 era need to stop doing things that are unproductive, drop some things that are not growing students, and roll with positivity and support from leaders and colleagues. In this episode, we explore how Jim's stop, drop, and roll approach can help us focus on what is important and help combat teacher burnout. So, like we always do at this time, let's collaborate, communicate, and educate with the best educators in the world right here on the Flipboard EDU podcast.
Welcome back, Flipboard fam. This is your favorite coach, Coach Jeffrey, and I have another amazing guest returning. My main man, Jim Thompson. Welcome to the show.
William, it is my pleasure. It is my honor. It is my good fortune to continue these conversations with you. And I just want to tell our viewers out there, I hope you appreciate William. He is a dedicated, authentic educator who really cares for kids. These are big challenges now. They're not easy times, but people like William are so important, not only to our children, but our country right now because of the fine education they're putting together each and every day. William, thanks so much for all your efforts in the building every day.
Thank you, sir. I couldn't have had a better start to my morning. Thank you so much. Hey, man, so tell our listening audience a little bit about yourself.
As you see there, I'm going to say I'm a grandpa first. I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be the grandpa of James Joseph. He'll be starting pre-K in the fall, so that's just a wonderful thing. But I'm also blessed by being a video instructional coach. My whole life has been in education, and I'm blessed to be working with administrators and teachers partnering to respond to this question. What does improvement look like? Because we know what it doesn't look like.
Right.
We know what it doesn't look like. What it doesn't look like is PD after PD with no follow-up coaching. That's not what it looks like. What also it doesn't look like is traditional evaluation. It doesn't look like there. So what we're trying to do is figure out, well, what might it look like? What are some of the pieces of that puzzle? And one of the things we've discovered is that the best professional learning, teachers tell us this, William. The best professional learning is teachers coaching teachers. Teachers coaching teachers. There are times when you have to bring in the big experts, but it shouldn't be all the time. It shouldn't be all the time. I'm in this study group with Jim Nye, professional study group, and he has these probing questions. And one of the things we're up to is how can I be a better coach? And I've come out to this idea of appreciation. Now, William, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask our visitors out there, our listeners, if we were to ask all you good folks in education on a scale of 1 to 10, how appreciated are you feeling right now? How appreciated are you feeling right now? 1 being not at all, 10 being great. And I've done this with my coaching groups. What do you think that number might be? What do you think that number might be?
Now, before I put my preamble on that, that is an issue right now in education, sir. I would say that number is 2 to maybe 2 or 3.
I think you're being honest. And what do we need to do if we want to get better? We got to find our current reality. That's what video is. It's when if our current reality is that, and I think it is, then I was an elementary principal for a lot of years. We always had fire prevention month. Do they have that down in Texas? Do they?
Yeah, they do. We do.
And we brought the firemen, and you know what the firemen always told kids? If you ever get on fire, what you got to do? You got to do three things.
Yeah.
You got to stop, you got to drop, and you got to roll. I think that's what we got to do in education right now. I hope we're going to get to that. We need to stop, we need to drop, and we need to roll. Yeah, we need to do that kind of quickly. It's not business as usual because this is too important. This is too important. That's our current reality. Our current reality says we can't ignore that. We can't be in denial. That's why I'm so glad you're having me today on your program. Thanks so much.
Hey, man, no problem. I love to have you on. You're an energetic guy. So I want to dive into, I know we're going to be focusing on rebounding, but I want to dive into that stop, drop, and roll scenario that you put about because it brings back that there is a fire somewhere. And it seems like you're as an educator, you're in a burning house currently right now, and you're trying to escape it. And the stop part, what are some of the things that we got to stop doing?
We got to stop doing icebreakers. How much fun an icebreaker is to a teacher who's been beaten up. We got to stop. People on these asking me about Jim, what should we do as an icebreaker for our next workshop? I says, abandon it. What do we need to do instead of icebreakers? We need appreciation makers. Stop the icebreaker. Look at appreciation makers. We need to stop that. We need to stop saying, I'm wondering what book I'm going to share with my teachers. And how can we help you? And then we need to do something I need to work on, William. Then what we need to do?
What's that?
We need to listen. We need to listen. We need to listen. Voice, choice. We need that now more than ever. We need to stop thinking about pre-pandemic and we need to start embracing appreciation, autonomy, and teacher voice right now. Because when I was a kid, I get a cold. And sometimes you get the flu. And then you go to the doctor and you get some medicine. I remember my mother saying, Jim, you're going to get over it. You're going to feel better. And you're going to be back to your old self. William, we ain't going to become back to our old self in education. I said words. It ain't happening. It ain't gonna. We can wish this stuff away. And we could say, well, in September it's gonna be it's gonna be brand new. We'll be back to what we are. No. And paid political announcement. I'm gonna weave through here. That's why we need coaches. We need coaches now more than ever. We need coaches, but we need to stop thinking like what we've done in the past is going to work. Jim Knight makes a great point that maybe we ought to abandon this term professional development and go and move on to professional learning. I'm sympathetic with that. Professional development, rightly so, has gotten a bad rap, rightly. And maybe we had to start a conversation in our cultures. What's the difference between professional development and professional learning? And how might we start moving that arrow back? One of the things we got to do is we got to involve our teachers. We got to involve our administrators and our students and voice. Somebody asked me the other day, says, how are we going to get our students to be engaged between now and the end of the year? How are we going to do it? And people are talking about we need this protocol and that protocol. We need to bring in the speaker from Del Rio, Texas, because they're really good. And you know what I responded? How do you going to get the kids to be more engaged between now and the end of the year? I said, why don't you ask them?
Yeah.
How can I help you? How can I help you? Because we got to stand test. This is still school. But I know we're hurting, but it's still school. So would you think about this and then give me some thoughtful responses? What could I do? What could we do? What could we do to help you? To not just help you learn better. We're going to get a couple weird answers. I think we're going to get some good advice. What do you think, William?
I love that idea. Love it. And so you also said that you to drop something. So what's something we can drop in education?
I think we've got to drop. And this is tough. I'm a former principal. I was a New York State Principal of the Year. We got to drop the notion that traditional evaluation is improving instruction. Let's just write up a few observations. And sometimes the principal say, this don't count, but I got to go through the motions. We got to stop that notion. We got that this is how we're going to get better. We got to stop the notion of let's doing PD after PD after PD with no follow-up coaching, no input from the teachers. Here's one thing, William, you can tell me if I'm wrong. That's okay. You're a good guy. We're friends, right? Folks out there in listener land, we're friends. You know what teachers tell me one of the biggest challenges right now across the country? Behavior.
Yes.
Student behavior. And I said, well, what are you doing about it? And they said, we got this program and we got that. We've been working on these programs for 3 years. We spent bazillions of dollars. Well, how that working for you right now under these conditions? Not working. I'm spending most of my day correcting behavior, doing this, and it's a learn. And they've already got these big running I think we got to stop those things. Not easy to do it, but now we're in a different. If we really want to have integrity about responding to what I think. Another thing we've got to stop. We got to stop this trash talk across the country against educators and education. I don't know about Texas. We can't find people in New York State who want to go into teaching.
Yeah,
we can't find substitutes. There ain't any substitutes. Forget it. And we're eating our seed corn. I guess what you say. We got to stop. We got to confront it as a profession that we are not the root of all evil, and we're working hard for kids, and we do make mistakes. But this is I think the teaching is the most noble of all professions, and we got to start helping our kids with this. A simple thing, William. When I was maybe they got this anymore. I don't know. Maybe they have these. When I was in high school back in the 60s, we had a Future Teachers of America group. Started in 8th grade. Yes. You could be, you started to find out more about teaching and cheerleading teaching. And so maybe we got to go back into our high schools and start working with our kids that this is a noble profession, because we have a huge national teacher shortage. I don't know about out your neck of the woods, but it's not getting better.
Yeah, it is not getting better. And believe it or not, at my house school, we have what we call a career and technology program, career technology and education program, where we start off, students can become an educational aide by the time they graduate. That is a focus in my community to build up teachers. And we have another program in the state of Texas called Grow Your Own, where if you can have someone who is a para, maybe starting off with maybe no college education, but they go to college, then we'll give them a teaching contract as they get closer to their first year teaching contract, as they're closer to graduation, to make sure that we can grow our paraprofessionals into the teaching program or the teaching field. I really agree with that.
In William, I think we have to be more intentional about recruiting men and women of color to be teachers. I don't know what our intentionality has been about that, William. Yeah. I don't know about it in New York State. I think that is something that we have to be affirming, more mentoring, more cheer. What do you think?
I totally agree with you. And I'm just not going to just stop there. There's a huge shortage of African Americans, Latinos in the state of Texas, and as administrators go. And I think the last statistic that I looked at, it was 92% Caucasian in the state of Texas for administrators. That's something that we really all need to pay attention to as far as leadership goes, because a lot of times we put people in inner city schools who are not from that area. I'm not saying they can't adapt, but there are teachers who are growing there. And just like as you grow a paraprofessional, you can grow a teacher into an administrator, especially someone who is dedicated to a community.
If you got 92% non-minority folks in administration, that doesn't match the population. Something ain't right then, William.
Yes.
I'm an old white guy, 72-year-old. I'm speaking truth to power here. I honest to God, it's just not right. It's not right morally.
Yeah,
it's not. And so I guess that's another thing we got to confront. You know what you're doing, William? I'm not a hockey fan, but the great one, Wayne Gretzky, has this phrase: is you got to skate to where the puck is going to be, not where it is right now. And when you talk to me about the programs in Texas with prepare professionals and working with that's where we need to go. That's why we need to develop coaches. We got to skate to where the puck should be going, not where it is right now. Because where it is right now ain't scoring. What do you feel about that?
Man, I love that. So we were going to be talking about rebounding and where we're going from this point on. I'm going to share a little bit. This year has been rough. I thought the pandemic year was rough and it coming out of it. But this year right here, sir, this has been a year. So many of my staff Parents have died. There has been like so much like aftermath awareness. People are fed up with work. I think people who really didn't like to be educators is now starting to come out. So I think a rebound is good. I think the shot has been taken. It has hit the rim. And now it's time for transition offense.
I think that, and there's some good things. I have to say, while the rebounding, we're rebounding with an exclamation point. Or are we rebounding with a question mark? We are rebounding with an exclamation. Well, kids are back in school.
Yeah.
The homeschooling that was crazy. Parents and teachers raising kids and teaching kids was nuts. We're back to in-person learning. This asynchronous thing, do you think that went really well? Come on, give me a break. Nobody was trained for that. Kids get to be with their friends and their teachers. That social emotional piece is huge. I'm not going to, and extracurriculars are back. We got Friday Night Lights. We've got band. We got chorus. We got those things. A lot of times, the only time a kid comes to school and stays in school is because of their coach. It ain't because of their geometry teacher. No offense, geometry teachers out there, but a lot of times the only time a kid comes to coach is because of their coach or their music conductor, or who sees something special in. Would you agree, William?
Hey, that's true. That's legitimate. And so for us to think that students in America are motivated by academics, we need to be honest with ourselves. Our students' priority is the social aspect and sports, and those things provide those students the ability to do that. Although academics are important, but if we're being honest, kids aren't coming to school to be with and learn English 1.
No. The Heath Brothers, just to affirm your good point, the Heath Brothers wrote this wonderful book called The Power of Moments. And they asked high school kids when they're graduating, what were some of the most powerful moments of your high school career? And they didn't say January and trig. They didn't say the photosynthesis lab in biology. They didn't say my phonics lesson in 3rd grade. They said being part of the winning lacrosse team, the football championship. We didn't win it, but what a team we had. Being the prom, being a part of band and music, and being part of the school play. They talked about that. They didn't talk about academics.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about academics. There's a great book called Bring Out the Genius in the Classroom by Armstrong. Here's his signature statement. Kids come to us as exclamation points, but leave us as periods. Now, I shared that book many years ago, and now we got a pandemic. Are they coming to us as exclamation points? But what I always said to myself, where the heck does this happen? Where does this transformation happen? I think there's, and I'm not throwing teachers under, but I think they're being valorous. I think administrators are being valorous. They're being thrown things that just never hit before. I mentor 7 administrators right now. And I don't know if this is your case, but when I talked to them, I said, tell me about and most all of them said, well, the first hour, an hour and a half, we sit with our secretaries figuring out who's going to cover classes because we don't have substitute teachers. If somebody calls in sick or is out for whatever reason, we got to figure what this is. And sometimes, Jim, we can figure it out in about an hour. It only takes us an hour every day. Sometimes we're here 2.5 hours. I said, so to what extent are you able to get really quality people substitute covering them? These are good people, but if it's like a Spanish lesson we got to cover, we got to have an adult in the room, Jim. Okay? We got to have an adult in the room. We don't give them a language proficiency test. If they know the word taco, we're doing all right. All right? We're not talking about they're going to advance idiomatic expressions in Spanish there. We just got to cover the class. And so do you have a problem with that in Texas? Is there problems finding substitutes?
Hey, that is a legitimate experience, sir. That is we are experiencing the same thing here in the state of Texas.
I don't think we're going to get over that real fast.
Yeah,
and I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here. I'm just trying to say, you bring one of the things that I know we're both men of integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And once we understand it, what then do we do about it? And I'm hearing this dismaying, and I'm hearing this around the country. And if you hear something different, I hope you do. But I'm hearing that when people are asked teachers, some great teachers out there, what PD do you want to do? And they go, We just want to get through the year, Jim. Okay. Can we talk about PD for next year? Jim? Did you ever hear this story, the phrase, one day at a time? One day at a time? And it's not that they're mean-spirited people, but just professional development, that it's Maslow before Bloom.
Right.
And not for kids, and also for human beings called teachers and administrators. Am I right, William?
You're so right. You're so right. You're so right. And let's speak to the point why teachers are not in the classroom, because hey man, this year has been a awakening year, especially if teaching was something that you're just doing as a job. If you're not interested in building relationships with students, their behavior along this year, from when it started off with the devious licks, the constant vandalizing of bathrooms and different things like that, that wears on teachers' integrity. And so when a teacher's beliefs is not lined up with the student's belief, and then there's the pressure from administration that, hey, you need to teach these kids these knowledge and skills that they need in order for whatever standardized test. And so that can cause a disconnect. And teachers, they have days, so they want to take their days. Now, it's good teaching, solid, is at a premium. Teachers being in the classroom, that's a realistic issue that a lot of people are facing in the United States. A lot of administrators are facing that issue.
And let me say a couple things. Then you can say, Jim, you're a little old. You don't get that. But here's what I see is going on. I see if people can retire, they're retiring. And these are good, bad, and this includes great teachers. If they're near or at retirement, administrator, teacher, they're saying, thank you, Lord. I had a great career. Give me a retirement dinner, and God love you. Number one. Number two, we're seeing this huge decrease in the number of people going into teaching. So where are we not just only going to get the next crop of great teachers, but where are we going to get teachers at all to be part of this? And I just see this is when you have a weather map and you see these storms converging, and you say, I don't like it. Well, that's too bad. And that's why I have to stop, drop, and roll. You know what? The last part of that is roll. We got to roll up our sleeves together as partners, and work together, dialogue together, reflect together, listen together. What do we need to do to make tomorrow better than today for kids? And that goes on and on. We don't have easy answers, and they're not quick answers. But if we don't start having these thoughtful conversations that really incorporate teachers and administrators' voice, I don't want public education to start, and then the wealthy just keep sending their kids to these private schools, and then public schools start to get underfunded. That's not what made our country great. What do you think?
And poor kids are the ones who suffer the most in times like these, because they're the ones who need a hope and a dream to fulfill their future. And having an unmotivated adult in a classroom, that's a detriment to hundreds of students on a daily basis. Just in one school, for an unmotivated adult to be in the classroom, and for whatever reasons, and it happens, people want to change and leave careers and all that, but you literally have the ability to change 100 kids' lives on a daily basis. And so we have to get back to our original mission. And the way I look at it is the environment. When you're trying to grow a tree or any kind of flower or plant, it needs sunlight, it needs water, and it needs good soil. And so there are three things that a kid needs. They need a good teacher, they need a good school, and they need a good leader as the administrator. And that's just something that, that we have to really focus on and tend these weeds as we're matriculating this next year.
Would you do me a favor, William?
Yes, sir.
I really mean this. I'm just so darn proud of you. And I'm getting goosebumps of what you just said, because you're on my. I hope you take this message and apply to be a presenter at a national conference. I really do, sir. You have a message to tell, and it needs to be heard. And I can't. You are eloquent. You're an eloquent guy, and you are right. We have the power. We have the power, for good or for not good. And it's if we aren't more intentional about trying to get better at this, then this is not a victimless crime, is it? There's kids here. It's not a victimless crime, is it?
Yeah, it's not. It's not. Hey man, thanks for the compliment, man. You know, if I can find me a sub principal, I might be able to go to a national conference.
I hope you're good, buddy. Even if it's bird.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us, Jim, man?
There's a couple of things out there when you get in life when you're at this point. William Martin Luther King Jr. had a good point. He said, in life you can either be the thermometer or the thermostat. You can measure the temperature or you can change it. We in education, you in particular, are thermostats. We have not just the ability, not just the calling, but I think the moral imperative that helped change the weather, change the climate for the better for children. I think that's so important. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that what lies behind you and what lies in back of you is not as important as what lies within you. And I think, like you say, this is not a job. If you're going in education as a job, don't go into it. It is a calling. It is not easy. It is not for the faint of heart. But if you take stock in being part of the person who plants trees, whose shade you may never enjoy, if you take stock in that, then this is, I think, the most important job in the world. And what scares me is that we're at that crossroads and we really need to start looking at where we are and how we might be able to do better. There's this Broadway show, Wicked, and there's lyrics say that because I knew you, I've been changed for the better. Because I knew you, I've been changed for good. And that's what I want kids and teachers to say to each other, because I knew you. I've not just been changed for the better, but I've been changed for good. What do you think?
I'm stealing it. I'm going to steal that quote that you just said. It. I might give you credit. It depends if I remember or not. Oh man, that's amazing. That's excellent. I can't wait to try to use that on some people. So that is beautiful. That sums up where we are and where we need to be. Man, and I'm so glad. I apologize that I couldn't get you on the show earlier because we had planned, we had some MIP steps, but man, I love talking to you, man. I can't wait to meet you face to face. I think we'll have a good coffee or something together. I don't know. I drink coffee. I don't know if you do.
I drink way too much coffee. I put it in my carotid artery. I put it right. I hope we get to present sometime together, William.
Yes. Hey, you know what? I just need to get out and do it. I slowed down on doing that. I used to do it a lot. I get back into that mode. And if we can, work together, that would be great.
Well, know that is heartfelt thanks that you have me on your show again. I love what you do. You're playing an important role as a host of this, and also an important role as a school leader. I'm just my good fortune and not only to know you, but to be on your show. So thank you so much, William.
Yes, sir. Do you have any books any upcoming events that you're going to be doing that we can promote?
That's a good question. We've been working with Rockdale, Georgia, outside of Atlanta, and those are just great people out there. I talked to Casey. Maybe we, off camera, we could talk about maybe we do a Sydney.
Okay.
We still got some time to put that together. We're doing some of that. I'm always working with Jim Knight. He's my icon. He's my true north. James Clear came up with this book called Atomic Habits. I'm reading that. It just says, let's not shoot for the moon on our goals. Let's make small victories. How about small victories every day? But keep those small victories going. I think that's so very important. Jim Knight's got a new book out, Definitive Guide to Instructional Coaching. It's all his work put in the book. That's on ASCD. That's a big one. So I try to keep reading and try to keep going. And I want to delve more into this idea of appreciation. As a coach, how do we extend appreciation to each other? And how does extending appreciation, how is that part of showing grace? Which I think is our bottom line. We need that now more than ever. What do you think, my friend?
Love it. We started off the year with showing grace, and we had you on our show, and something that we definitely focus on in my school district. This is what we do. So
Well, thank you for taking time out of your day. I bet it's a lot warmer there than it is up here. I'm looking at clouds and cold, right?
Oh, man, I'm sorry. Yeah, it is 71 degrees right now. It was good talking to you, man. Thank you for coming on the show.
My honor. My best to you and your family. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
My honor.
Your family as well.
Thank you.
Are you looking for a podcast about education? Flipboard EDU Podcast is a great podcast that focuses on digital, remote, and future learning. We will explore how to use Flipboard in education and how it can enhance instruction. You'll hear from teachers, students, and experts who are using this amazing tool in their classrooms. It's not just an educational resource, but also a community of people who want to share ideas with one another. Hey, join our community today. Share your stories, ask questions, or even submit content for us to feature on the show. We want everyone involved in this conversation so we all can learn together as we move into the future of education. This is your favorite coach, Coach Jeffrey, and I look forward to you becoming a part of the Flipboard family. Click here now to follow our podcast. Until next time, family.
Are you a teacher who wants to start a podcast? The Podcast Planner for Teachers is your go-to resource for planning and brainstorming. It's packed with templates, worksheets, and checklists that will help you plan out your show from beginning to end. You don't need any experience or special equipment, just an idea and the drive to make it happen. With this planner, we want everyone who has ever wanted to start their own podcast but didn't know where to begin. We want every student in school today to learn about podcasts as they learn about other forms of media like TV shows and movies. And most importantly, we want teachers everywhere sharing their stories with students across the country through podcasts. Now is the perfect time for educators everywhere to get involved in this exciting new medium. Let us help guide you along the way. Click here now if you're ready to take control over your future by starting a podcast today.
Flipboard fam, thanks for listening with me on this episode. I also would like to thank Jim Thompson for talking with us today. I want to thank Crystal van der Boom and Aileen Lawler for the editorials on the Flipboard EDU Educators blog. Remember to subscribe to our Flipboard EDU magazine on flipboard.com. Also, don't forget to listen to Mia Quagliarello's The Art of Curation Flipboard podcast. Don't forget to share our podcast with an educator or colleague. Our podcast is available globally and everywhere you listen to podcasts. Until next time, family.